Hello, Reds from around the world. Welcome to All for United. I am your host, Joe O'Neill, and I am being brought to you here with the help of the greatest and cheapest Manchester United fans available at this current evening, at this current time in the world. I hope you're all doing very well. We've a kind of interesting game to look back on. I'm going to emphasize the kind of because I was only half looking at it. And by that, I mean one eye was on my laptop, the other eye was on the screen because I was having a really horrible time trying to fix something on my own personal podcast, which is driving me mental, which I'll probably try to do as I'm pretending to listen to what the guys are saying. So wherever you are, as usual, in the comments, get your thoughts in, get your views in. It's always great to have you. Wherever you're watching, please come over to YouTube, YouTube.com/Off United, or just search Off United on YouTube. Join us there. Once we get to 30 likes on this video, I'll be asking the question. The first 5 people to answer that question correctly will be put into a draw for Football Town apparel. I'm going to mention that a million billion times, so don't get bored of it as I already am. We have a couple of the stalwarts here. We've got the wonderful Stuart, the grand Gary, and the unfortunate James. It's always nice to have 2 out of 3 of them here. We've got a couple of newcomers. They are fellow Celts, just like myself. We have the Welsh wizard, that's Dylan, and we have Jamie. I'm trying to think of one for you. William Wallace, what's he called? Braveheart? I don't think you're that much of it. Who's like a kind of a middle of the road Scottish person? I like Billy Connolly. Who's kind of Scottish that everyone just kind of likes? Anyone got one? Does anyone get in the comments with someone? Okay, we'll figure out by the end of the day, Jamie. We'll find you one. Ewan McGregor. That's Grant. Yeah, Ewan McGregor. He's fine. He's a good actor, but a bit of a prick, I've heard. He doesn't allow people to make eye contact with him on set, I've heard. So that's our Jamie, and that's what Jamie's going to be like. So like I said, get your thoughts into the comments. We'll be covering the Manchester United's tremendous victory over Newcastle, the 3-1 win. Our thoughts on the goals, on the game. We'll pick man the match. And of course, this is usually Wall of Reds, but there's also reaction as well. So we look forward to getting you all out here. And who have we got? We've already got Connor in the comments, who will be tweeting tonight and making videos. We've got Stuart in the comments and on screen. That's a very multi-talented Stuart we got here. And he commented twice. That's a great Stuart. We've got another Stuart. We're quite Stuart heavy today. On we go. Absolutely. So we're going to go straight in over to Stuart we have on the screen with what are your thoughts straight away on this victory on the 3-1?
Look, 3 points is 3 points, so you can't complain at that. As for the game itself, it was an absolute dead rubber. We lacked any kind of inventiveness, passion, thrust. I could go on forever. But, we scored 3 goals. So unless you didn't watch the game, you wouldn't really get an idea of how poor the overall performance was. And you can pick the bones out of it all night pretty much, but I won't. So there's a couple of standout performances. I thought Luke Shaw was solid again. Dan James played pretty well. I think he was our most effective forward tonight in terms of being a little bit tenacious and trying certain things. But Ollie at home, he plays the same double centre midfield, which just frustrates me. Tonight would have been the perfect game to put Mata in. Either play Fred or Matic, doesn't really matter, but just one of them, and then put Mata in, because we've said it before on this show, and we've seen it time and time again. They cannot get the ball to Bruno. Whenever we play 2 CDMs or 2 similar type players in the middle of the park, we starve Bruno. And to be fair to him, they did double mark him tonight anyway, but he hardly got the ball. And when you're relying on just one form of creativity, if he's starved of the ball, that's it. Your game plan's over. De Gea was poor tonight. Maguire, I do feel a bit sorry for Maguire. He was getting absolutely slaughtered on Twitter for the goal. But if you watch it back, we zonal mark, and I've said this before, zones don't score goals. What Newcastle did this time was quite clever. They dropped it short. And because we were zonal marking in the 6-yard box, as soon as they whipped the cross in, Maguire was on his back foot and he was slightly off balance. That's why the header wasn't right. And again, I think De Gea should have saved St. Maximin's shot. In real time, I tweeted it was a good goal, but looking back at it, I don't think it was. So all in all, look, we got 3 points, and I think that's the key thing that we take out of it. But we have to improve. We have to improve.
No, you're absolutely dead right, Stuart. And like I said before, wherever you are, come over to Off United on YouTube. Give this video a like, help us get to 30 likes, and then I'll put you in a draw for Football Town Apparel once we get the 30 likes after I ask a question. But you dead right, Stuart. The game wasn't in any way entertaining. It was 3, but we felt slow and sluggish. And I was very surprised the amount of hate Harry Maguire got, and the camera focused straight in on him. When, what did he do? He headed the ball out. You know, it was headed in and he got it out of danger. It wasn't the most convincing of headers, but what was he supposed to do in that situation from the ball that came in? Like take it down and then clear it? I thought he got way too much stick for that.
He was off balance, you know, and that was quick thinking from Newcastle. So, you know, sometimes at the end of the day, you've got to credit the opposition.
Yeah.
For manufacturing a chance. But we've got to be better. We've got to be stronger. And the thing about Maguire is, and I'll just quickly mention this, Maguire never knows from one game to the other who's going to be partnering. And you know, at centre half, it's either Lindelof, it's Bailey, it's been Twazembe. He just doesn't know. And I've played centre half, as I keep mentioning on this show. You like a steady partnership. You like a solid partner to your right or to your left.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely, and it's definitely not Lindelof. And Stuart O'Hara, thank you so much. We're on 15 likes already. That would Mark have gotten that far that quickly, James? I probably think he would. James, we're going to come to you now. Your thoughts? Would you share the same points as Stuart? Or are you just happy we scored 3 goals? Rashford scored early, had a relatively good game. Bruno obviously was influential as ever, and Dan James scored. But would you be leaning more towards negative or positive from what you saw today?
Given that we played a relegation candidate and we actually won, it's always going to be a positive. I think we're doing too much of the Robin Hood type thing at the minute, where we just give points to teams that need the most. But you know, 3 goals is always nice. It's nice to see Rashford actually cutting inside once and shooting, rather than cutting inside and then, you know, faking to shoot again and again and again, and then shooting, and it just getting blocked, because that happens too often. I think I'm in agreement with the Newcastle goal with what you were saying. I don't think that was entirely Maguire's fault. Obviously, he could have got a bit more on the header, but he's headering it sort of uncontested in the 6-yard area. Now, if you're uncontested in the 6-yard area, shouldn't that be the goalkeeper's ball? No, that's the problem I had. I think Dean Henderson comes out and either punches that or catches it, which obviously gets rid of the danger. I think De Gea looked very poor in the first half. I think he obviously steadied himself, made a few decent saves, but you know, giving the ball away. There was one specific one where he you know, passed it to Joel Linton, who was 20 yards out, which is never a good thing. But you know, when you've got players like Bruno Fernandes on your team, you will eventually score goals. And that's what we did. You know, a pass that somehow made it through to Dan James, who surprised me with the quality of his finish. I don't know whether he just tried to smash it as hard as he could, but it worked. And then, you know, the penalty was an obvious penalty. Rashford did well to win that, and Bruno scores it as you'd expect. So, you know, it was nice to see the youngster on as well. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, because whatever I say, it'll be wrong. But he looked all right. Not much he could really do, but yeah, you know, 3 points is 3 points. Back up to second, so no complaints.
No complaints. That's rare from you, James. Mark's in the comments. Shocker, that's not him. That's Hamma, but Hamma's there too. Evening, boys. Great to have you in the comments, Mark. Thanks so much for joining us. Think he just smashed it. Yeah, I'd agree. I think he just put his laces through it, Dan James. But like, you love to see it, and he scored during the week, and he was real fiery. Like, we all know he isn't the most gifted of players, but he has something which a lot of the best players ever lacked, which was heart. So I remember there was one point, I think he lost the ball, or as Bruno lost the ball, and he chased down whoever was had a Newcastle won it back for us, which I think led to us having a chance. So like, we need someone with legs who cares as much as he does, and he earned his place because he got so much shit for when first started, even though he scored during the week, but for the fact that he played, and he played very well and got a goal. All credit to him. And James, the Scot, it's absolute, not James, sorry. Oh my God, Jamie, for fuck's sake, apologies. Great start. Close enough. And don't worry. And just remember, I'm the accent guy here, okay? So don't be too lyrical, all right? But coming to you, Jamie, now on your first time. Please, everyone in the comments, welcome Jamie. Give us your thoughts on what you saw today and what you think this means for us going forward.
I was actually quite nervous about this game, to be honest. I was really thought we were going to drop points tonight, so I'm quite glad to get the 3 points. But I mean, it wasn't the best performance. I mean, second half put in a decent shift, but you know, it's just the midfield isn't really cut. Matic and Fred are both. I just don't think they work well together. I think they're just too static. There's not enough movement. And I think we're really missing like Pogba and even McTominay, which Nate, we wouldn't think we'd be saying like a year ago, but he's just been so good this season. I'm not just saying that because he's Scottish, but like he has been really good, and like I'm glad to get the 3 points. I probably would have started Marshall tonight, to be honest. He's just I like him, I rate him, but he's just not in good form, and I think we should have started Greenwood. But it was great to see James get another goal, as you were just saying. Like, he has heart. Like, he might not be the most naturally gifted player, but he offers a role in the squad. He's a good squad player, so he looked like he had a point to prove tonight. So it was really nice. I was quite delighted to see him get a goal. But just sloppy defensive mistakes again. Like, we looked nervous at the back tonight. And I reckon Henderson would have done better with a goal. So yeah. But I'm just relieved to get the 3 points, because we really need to be picking up points at the moment. Like, the next few games, a tough run. So just relieved.
Yeah, you're absolutely perfectly. I have no idea what you said. I was just too obsessed with your accent. So keep that going, and the likes will keep flowing in. And as the likes are flowing in, we are 8 away from 30, according to David here. So keep them coming in. This will be a record. Mark never got to 30 so quickly. All right, James. All right. So help us get to 30, and I'll ask a question. The first 5 people to answer that correctly will be put into a draw for Football Town Apparel. Gary. It's kind of a mixed bag here of being impressed or being negative about this game, but I think overall it's just good to get the 3 points. Is that what you're looking from this, or were you still hoping for more? Is the 3 points not enough?
It's just one of them games, isn't it, where we could have, like the previous guy just said, we could have dropped points. One thing I did notice from Newcastle, and a lot of teams do that come to Old Trafford, and every team just tends to press us for the first 5-10 minutes, and that's what they did. I think St. Maximin was their best player for them today. Did really well with the goal. Could De Gea have got to that? I'm not so sure. I think James had a good game. I've been critical of him in the past. I'm glad he got a goal. Martial, for me, again, how many times we've said it, he really isn't a striker. I think, his best position is on the left. We all know Rashford plays on the left as well, but I don't know why they can't swap it around a few times once in a while during the game. If it's not working, Martial's not getting any help, then go on the left. And put Rashford through the middle. We know Rashford's better through the middle than Martial is, but other than that, we got the 3 points, and that's all that matters, I think.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, at the end of the day, what more can we hope for from a game? It's literally it. I'd rather, play shit and win 1-0 than, play wonderfully and lose or draw 4-4. Do you know what I mean? The docs in the comments. James, Matic and Shaw were excellent. Martial dreadful. Would someone teach Fred how to pass a ball? Hello, Joe. I wanted that pointed out, had he literally only said hello to me. Thank you, Barry. It's great to have you in the comments. Hopefully we can get you back on the show again. And on Gary, by the way, what the last fella said, that's Jamie. Don't worry, I'm not blaming you too. I'm not blaming you too much, because I literally forgot his name as well. It took me a second. Yeah. But hey, I'm still great. And here's James in the comments. Joe, I've put our differences aside and like the video is successful unified all. No. I appreciate the effort, James, but no, we're still enemies for life, buddy Holly. All right. And now please welcome on the Welsh Wizard, his first time here on the show, at least on Wall of Reds, and someone who's been in the comments for a while, so we're delighted to welcome to the show. Please, in the comments, especially if you're Welsh, give all the love to Dylan. Dylan, give us your thoughts on today, and were you happy and were you not?
Again, it's a tough watch against a team we should be beating pretty comfortably. It was all too slow. It's all about bad partnerships for me. Lindelof and Maguire aren't the right partnership, but you can't get more than 3 games out of Eric Bailly, which is a problem. Fred and Matt are too slow together as well. But I would say Martial, again, there's nothing from him. I fail to see what he actually offers us. The bare minimum he gives 110% for this club, and he just doesn't do it. Aside from that, 3 points is 3 points. And other than all those other complaints, you can't really complain any more than that.
Other than every complaint you could possibly make ever about a game of football, you can't make any other complaints. That's some top quality Michael Owen level punditry right there, Dylan. And thank you so much. Despite all the complaining I can make, I can't make any more complainings. Thank you so much for that. So we'll keep going around. I think someone who's been brought up a lot here, and we have in the comments coming here, if James keeps this going, then he's pushing for first teamer. Yeah, first teamer. Is that really a saying? Surely. I think I know what you mean, though, even though that's worded really well. Really weird. Mark Daniel Damien. That's also a weird name, but it's a good name to have in the comments. So thanks for sticking around. Stuart, we'll go to you first. How far are we off Daniel James, do you believe, actually fighting for, first team?
Yeah, we're still quite a bit away, to be honest. He's a good player. He's a good squad player. But you've got Greenwood, Rashford, Martial, though, Cavani, they're ahead of him in the pecking order. However, the last couple of games, he's shown a maturity to his game that he's not had before. Maybe the time out the side has enabled him to kind of grow up a little bit. He looks a bit like he's put a bit of weight on. He's been in the gym. His decision-making is slightly better. He's attacking. He's quick. And he will worry a fullback. There's absolutely no two ways about it because of his pace. But he reminds me a bit of Newcastle's Almiron. Almiron was a busy player today, but he didn't have a final ball. And I think James is kind of still there. He's just got to sort out the final third of his game. So I don't think he's going to, when we're all fit, when all the front four are fit, I don't think he's going to be a first team player yet. But credit to the lads, he's knuckled down. He's tucked in his skirt, so to speak, and, he's given it a go. And I think we need that. But, a club like Manchester United, and I think some of the lads touched on some good points about partnerships don't work. The problem is we're stuck with them. We can't do anything till the summer. And so they've got to find a way of playing together. And Ollie's got to find a settled starting 11. Because we're at the business end of the season now, and you can't keep chopping and changing week in and week out. You've got to find an 11, and you've got to, be relatively consistent for 4, 5, maybe even 6 games with that 11.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. And David is keeping me updated. Thanks so much, Dave. We're 7 away. Please keep those likes coming in. Once we get to 30 likes, I'll be asking a question. The first 5 people to answer that question correctly will be put into a draw for some Football Town apparel. James, I'm going to come to you now. Daniel James is very similar to you in height, but do you love him as much as that? I don't know. I was just trying to make fun of you. There's no real connection there. How far do you think Daniel James is away? Because that right wing is kind of a problem for us, as in we want to put Rashford there because we want Martial to play on the left where he's most natural, but Rashford is better on the left, so we have to kind of fit him over to the right. Do you see a case maybe for a bit of a run, since he scored twice in 2 games, that it could be James, Cavani, and then Rashford? Or do you think James is just still too far off the mark?
I mean, if next season, if you don't include Cavani, I think out of the sort of forward players we've got, he probably deserves to be in there over Martial. So I think he probably deserves that right wing space, but I don't think he's ever going to be good enough to fire us to a level where sort of City are, where Liverpool were last season. I think, he's got the potential to be a squad player should we get to that level. If he bulked up a little bit, maybe a little bit better decision making, final ball, that sort of thing, which he's showing now, which is positive. 2 goals in 2 games, got an assist as well at midweek, is not to be understated against 2 pretty decent opposition given the circumstances. He's not a player that likes playing against a low block, and yet he still got his goal today. So, there is positives, but I don't think his potential quite stretches far enough to be a first team player in the future, especially given where we want to be as a team. But I think for the time being, he's probably warranted, like I said, he's warranted a shirt over Martial. So I think if Cavani's injury is going to be, the next couple of weeks, I think you give Greenwood that number 9 position, and you've got to give Dan James a little bit of a run out on the right wing, because his pace is hurting people, and it's refreshing to see.
Yeah, Absolutely. Like, it's good that actually we could have a problem over on our right side of actually getting someone to start in not like a negative way for once. We're 4 likes away. This is a record. It's going great. I'm the best host in the world. 4 likes away from the 30. Keep them coming in, guys, and ask a question, and then you could be up for 5 of Fred's. And are you earning a commission? No, in fact, Fred, this is probably costing me money. We're 5 away from me asking a question. The first 5 people to answer that question correctly will be put into a draw for Football Town apparel. I'm actually going to skip you for a minute, Jamie. I'm going to go to Dylan, actually, because seeing as Dylan is, a good Celtic boy and he is from Wales. Do you have a certain specific love for Dan James where you want to see him start more? Would you prefer him to leave United so he could be better for Wales, or are you happy where he is at the moment? And do you think he could be a starting right winger first in the future? I threw a lot at you there. Answer whichever one you want first. Or answer it all. I don't mind. This is quite a dramatic pause. And he's muted. That's probably why. Unmute yourself there, Dylan. Dylan, we'll come back to you in a second. We're going to go to Jamie. Okay, just make sure you're muted there.
It's because you skipped me, I think.
Yeah, I think that is what happened. That's God punishing me. Jamie, as the other side of Ian Celtic, do you have a love for Dan James? Do you think he could be a starting right winger, or do you just think that we just need to upgrade?
I think he's better on the left than the right, and normally. I like Dan James, but I don't think he's good enough to be a first-team player in the future, long term. But I think he has a place off the bench, and he can play in the, we need a big squad. Fergie's teams really use their squads well, so I think he has a place in the team, definitely. It's good to see him playing well. But yeah, I don't think he's good enough. But I would like to see him come off the bench more. I don't feel we use him off the bench enough. I feel like we don't always bring on subs till maybe 80th minute, which does sometimes work. But I think James could definitely offer something off the bench going forward. He's a pretty good impact sub, isn't he? He's fast. But I think Greenwood, to be honest, should be starting on the right every game. I feel like he gets dropped very often if we have a bad performance, and I don't think he's been that bad. I mean, he's not scored as many goals, but he's always been played pretty well. So I think Greenwood, when Cavani's fit, should be our right winger. And I know he's not a right winger, but I think he should be starting there.
Yeah, actually, we've completely forgot about how good. And Greenwood was great when he came on, to be fair. Yeah. He was very, very good. And he's showing finally. Well, look, he's 19, so this is going to happen every so often. Thanks, James, by the way. Okay, fine. I don't think Mark would get this many likes. I'm fully on board the Joe bandwagon. Is this actually you, or is someone on your YouTube? I'm going to take credit for it anyway, even though I think this is some sort of ploy. I'm going to try Dylan one more time on his possible love for Dan James. Then we'll go to Gary next. Are you a big fan of Dan James, Dylan? Would you like to see him doing more at United? Do you think that his future might lie elsewhere?
Well, obviously being Welsh, I've got a little bit of a bias towards him, but I don't think he was ever bought in to be a first team player. I've always thought he's been a squad player. I think the way that we haven't really been backed over the summer again with a proper right winger, sort of really forced the hand more than anything. But my front three would be Rashford, Cavani, and Greenwood. Greenwood can cut in on his left. He's got a good right foot on him as well. But yeah, I mean, I think I agree with the last one as well. It's where I'd like to see him coming on a little bit more. The difference when he plays for Wales and obviously when he plays for United, I think it's a massive confidence thing. But again, yeah, I would like to see him get him a bit more of a run, especially now he's in good form.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think he's going to be dropped. He can't be dropped considering he's 2 goals in 2 games and he's playing really, really well. So this is probably his best chance to actually put down a marker to be the starting right winger. Do you see Gary, to finish on speaking on Gary on Dan James? Do you see him being starting right winger for the next couple of games, seeing as he's on good form, or would you prefer to get Greenwood in there straight away?
I think Greenwood should always be starting on the right. I think what Jamie said. I'd like to see him playing on the left and coming off on the bench, maybe making a bit of an impact the last 10 minutes. Also, we're forgetting the fact that we're probably focusing on a right wing position. We're looking at Sancho in the summer. If that still happens, it's going to put James even further back in the pecking order. So I don't really see him as a first team regular, to be honest. But his form at the moment has been good. The last couple of games he's scored a couple of goals in each game, so he's worthy of a first team start, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, we have to be a club, like any good managed club, is if you play well, you will start games. Do you know what I mean? And if Dan James he's playing really well, he's playing out of his skin. He's got 2 goals in 2 games. Defensively, he wasn't at his best. He did let whoever it was, I can't remember, get by him easily enough. So you have to work on that. But if he keeps up this form, for me anyway, you can't drop people that are playing really, really well. And this is his only way to stay in a team, considering he didn't play for ages prior to when he came on against Sociedad. So like, this is what he needs to do, and I'm delighted because I want players to be seen that if you play well, you will get a chance to start. So I think it's the best thing for him. Delighted he played so well today, and I hope that who are we playing next? Does anyone know? I know we have Sociedad next, don't we?
Sociedad
away to Chelsea after that. Yeah. No, okay. Palace away, isn't it? Is it Palace away?
Sociedad then Chelsea.
Sociedad then Chelsey. Yeah, so we're looking at that anyway. He will play against Sociedad. If he puts in another great performance, then you're seeing him possibly starting against Chelsea as well. And with how quick he is, and if he's in good form, he could do damage against anyone. So we'll have to wait and see. But if he's playing as well, I don't think and it's great to have Greenwood coming on and fighting for it as well. It's good that there's no position set down in stone. This is the sort of team that it needs to be. But anyway, we'll keep going. Stuart, we'll go to you. Considering the first half and second half, we weren't great until we went 2-1 up through Dan James. That's when we kind of got control of the game. But what was your favorite goal of the match?
Well, none of them really. If I'm being brutally honest, I know Rashford put a magnet on our friend. The right back, and it was a good goal, but he scuffed the shot. I thought Darlow should have kept it out, if I'm being honest. And as for Dan James, he did what any decent striker did, and put his laces through it. And Bruno's always going to score a penalty. The reason I wasn't a fan of all 3 of the goals is because we didn't really go ahead and make any chances, and it's just not good enough at home against a relegation threatened side. It isn't good enough. You've got to go with that zip and that thrust. I saw someone on Twitter a few weeks ago actually saying that since Klopp had a whinge, we've not been getting many penalties. The reason we haven't been getting any penalties is because Martial and Rashford aren't attacking the box anymore. They've stopped attacking the box. Yeah. And that's where we're at our most dangerous. And also, if you think about it, 4-3-3, they're not conventional wingers. Jadon Sancho isn't a conventional winger. A conventional winger plays in a 4-4-2 system. So we're not necessarily looking for wingers. What we're looking for is mobility across your front 3. And I've been bleating about this for a while. Whoever your focal point is, you need that fluidity behind your focal point, whoever that may be. And I think somebody made a point about why doesn't I think it was Jamie, or James. There's too many James and Jamies on here. But they talked about the crossover. They talked about a crossover between the 2 wingers, and that should be happening on a regular basis. Fergie used to utilise that all the time. If one winger was having a problem, or one forward player was having a problem with one fullback, he'd switch it. And we should be doing that. We should be more fluid, more interactive in the front end. So goals wise, look, I'll probably get slaughtered for saying I didn't like any of them. I didn't, and the reason is because there was an element of luck. If you look at the James goal, Bruno got a slight flick, a slight touch to knock it out to James, and if he hadn't done that, the ball wouldn't have travelled to James. So we've got to start being a bit more creative. We've got to be a bit more inventive. We've got to be incisive. Because I tell you something, if we go to Chelsea and we go to City, we're going to have problems. We really are. We're going to have issues with breaking those teams down and scoring. I don't think City have conceded. Haven't they got 18 clean sheets or something ridiculous like that?
No, they have not gone a goal down in like 18 or 19 games. They have conceded.
It's just not, the way that we're playing at the minute, we're not going to score against City. And I was hoping to get 7 points out of this group of games, this group of fixtures between Newcastle, Chelsea and City. and we got 3. I feel that we can beat Chelsea, but we've got to take points off City. We have to beat City. If we've got any aspirations of winning this title, we've got to beat City. So don't have a pop at me in the comments, guys. But I just think that the goals, none of them were my favourite. So, and I'm just being honest, Joe. You know me.
Yeah, I know you, and you've depressed everyone. People aren't commenting, giving out because they're too busy at home crying.
Yes.
From that, and that's the goal for every good Stewart episode we have on. Is to make the audience fall down in tears. So I'm not going to ask that. Yeah. So I'm not going to ask that question anymore because I think Stewart covered it perfectly. So I'll go to James on tactically on what you saw out there. What were you happiest with, and what did you feel we really, really need to work on?
I think we need to work on the fact that we didn't start playing until we scored that second goal. I think we were sort of caught by surprise by how well Newcastle pressed the ball. You know, you've got to give them credit. They played really, really well for a relegation battling team. I think for large periods of the first half, they played us off the park. I think we were lucky to go in 1-0, sorry, at half time. And yeah, I think we were caught out by that, which is fair enough. You don't expect that from a team of Newcastle standard, but I think, you know, we've got to improve on the fact that we only really took charge of the game after the second goal. But after that, I think we were really good. The game opened up a little bit and it really started to suit us. You know, Fred making a few runs down the middle with the ball, laying it off. I think there was, once Greenwood came on as well, there was some nice little bits of interplay, which probably the final ball could have been a bit better, and we maybe could have seen more than 3 goals. So I think, you know, if we'd have played that final sort of 30 minutes, if we'd have played like that for the whole game, then it would have been a very comfortable result, and we'd have all sat here being a little bit more happy, thinking, yeah, we're back on track. But I don't know if that's because of the schedule, whether because we played on Thursday or not. You know, if it is, we need to be resting some players for Sociedad because, you know, we're already through, aren't we, really? So yeah, I just hope we're at it from the whistle against Chelsea, because if we're not, they do have the quality to really make us pay.
I disagree with you. I think we're the best team in the world. Jamie, coming over to you now. On what you saw today in the game, what were you most impressed with? What did you feel we really need to work on?
I mean, there wasn't a lot to be too impressed with today. I mean, we won. We ground out the result. I mean, I think 3 points tonight were the most important thing, as I said before. But I don't know. I think we look a bit tired at the moment, actually. And I've been saying all season to friends and stuff that I reckon I always thought we'd have a bit of a dip around now because we have played a lot of football. And I know we're a top team. You expect players to be able to be fit, but you know, we're starting to get injuries. You know, players are starting to look a little bit less, you know, fresh. Like, you know, Bruno, amazing, obviously, another assist and goal is just unbelievable numbers. But I think he looks a little bit tired. But I know he keeps saying I don't need a rest, but you know, he probably does. So I hope on Thursday against Sociedad, we're pretty much through, you'd think. So I'd like to see a lot of the kids get a wee run out, you know, play some of the younger players, just rest some of our, you know, bigger players. Like Chelsea, I'm really worried about the Chelsea game because I think Tuchel's a good manager. So that could be a tough game for us. We really need to be picking up points if we want to keep the pressure on City. But yeah, no, tonight we won. I think Gary Neville said this a few weeks ago. Like, we tend to have moments in games. This team, we'd not really played a great 90 minutes all season. Really, I can think of like 3 or 4 examples of when we played like a great 90 minutes. But we have good players that, you know, provide moments in games, and that seems to have worked for us this season. But that is a worry going forward because we can't always rely on that. That luck will run out sometimes. So I think we do need to be in control of games for longer. Definitely.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Gary, over to you now. On what you saw today, what were you most impressed with? What do you think we need to work on?
It's one of them games, wasn't it? I mean, it could have been a close 1-0. You know, we could have just edged it. But, I mean, did the scoreline flatter us more, do you think, getting 3 goals against Newcastle? I don't know. I mean, what does annoy me is when we go a goal up, we always tend to sit back, and then they kept going, and they eventually got a goal to equalise in the first half. That just really frustrates me. It always happens with us at Old Trafford. Teams aren't scared anymore coming to Old Trafford and having a real good go. I do think we'll rest players for Thursday's game. We have to rest Bruno, even though he won't want to be rested. He didn't have the greatest of games tonight, but he still got a penalty, got a goal, you know, and assisted James with the goal as well. So he needs to be rested, definitely. And I think there'll be a few younger players playing on Thursday.
Yeah, I think the great thing about the fact that we absolutely hockey Sociedad and got the best result possible is that we can play the kids somewhat to a degree. We can let, similar to who did we play last year when after the not the ban, when football kind of stopped for about 2 months. What was that team? The Belgian team we had to play again. Lask, was it? Was Lask?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Whoever it was, we beat them 5-0 or 5-1, so we got to play the kids, and I remember that was a miserable game. But in the same thing, we've allowed this luxury where Bruno, I don't want Bruno like even on the bench. I don't want Harry Maguire even on the bench. I don't want anyone that is important to us down the spine of that team to be near that. We can see out this game, and if we can't beat Sociedad after being 4-0 up, with a second-rate team, we don't deserve to be in the tournament anyway. That's how I feel about it. Go for it.
Do you think we've missed Lingard a little bit?
No, not at all. Not even a little bit. Lingard would not be doing what he's doing for us with.
No, only because of the players we got out missing. I think we could have done with him today. Maybe I don't know. He would have been on the bench.
Genuinely, I think his head wasn't in the best place when he was with us. So I don't think I think he could have come on and even played like worse than he ever has before because the pressure would have got to him. I think he needed a break. I think it's phenomenal what's happening, and then hopefully he comes back next year. We can talk about something different, and hopefully he could be an option then. But nothing against him. I do think he's doing brilliantly at West Ham. He deserves all the credit in the world. But I don't think he would have made an impact at all. But that's a discussion we can absolutely have. The guys in the comments wanted to have it. But Dylan, for yourself, what were you most impressed with? What do you need to work on? And guys, I don't know how many were away. I think it's 2 or 3 away. Please keep the likes coming in and then I'll ask a question. The first 5 people to get the question correctly, we put into a draw for Football Town Apparel. Cool. Dylan, coming to you now. Favorite things, what we need to work on. Oh, wrong person. Sorry.
I just feel like with my favorite thing about the team is that we're winning ugly. That's never, ever a bad thing. The other side of that, again, is it's teams, again, like this, where we should be beating them. But for me, it's that last year, this is where I see our progress. Last year, we draw this game or we lose this game. The same as the Sheffield United result. That one there is just, again, as I think our mentality is coming in thinking that we're just going to steamroll teams. But I think the way we set up with 2 holding midfielders at home against the bottom 5, bottom 6, I think it gives them confidence to come and attack us. I think that today would have been perfect if we just had Matic sitting there, and then we had a little bit more of an attacking options going forward. I think that way we dominate games a little bit more. But that's the only my only grief with the team. We're not dominating enough against the teams that we should be.
Oh, it's going to make you mouse here. There we go. We'll come back from it. That's perfect. Thanks so much. I think we got a big cut off there, but it's great. Hammer's coming in with Jesse's time is done United. It probably is. Yeah. In fairness, it probably is. We can have a chat. We'll touch on him after I ask the question because we have passed 30 likes. We are on 32. Thanks so much, David and Mark, Daniel, Damien, who's keeping me updated there. So, we're on 30 now. Let me know. So the question I'm going to ask is, and everyone here who's in the video can answer it as well. Just do it in the live chat. Don't scream it out, which happens every so often. In the infamous Kevin Keegan rant, who wants to do an impression of it quickly? Someone do it. Stuart, come on. Someone do it. Someone, you know exactly what it is. I'm calling upon you. Stuart, you do it. Go on. What is it?
I can't do the Keegan rants, but I'd love if we beat them. Love it.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I wanted. That soundbite. Yeah. That soundbite. And I'd love it if we beat them. I'd love it. He mentioned the team we were due to play. We have to go to this team, and they have to get a result there. Name that team that we have to play and get a result there. In that rant, he mentioned the team we have to go.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, I done that. I thought I was on mute, man.
Who's done that one? Who's done that one?
That was Dylan.
Get him muted.
I was on mute.
I was proud of that question, Dylan. I was so proud of that question. I was like, this would be a tough one. This would be a thinker here now. This would be a thinker.
Gary was mouthing it. Gary was going, mouthing it.
That is fantastic. And yes, yes, it is. It is Middlesbrough. But luckily, not luckily, because you got given away. I think we have that clip. Connor, get that up immediately, please. Who was it? Yeah, Fred, you're in. John, you're in. Fred's in. Oh, Fred's in twice, I guess. John's in, Fred's in, Connor's in, Stuart's in, and Mark is in. Congratulations, guys. Well done. And let's all make fun of Dylan forever for doing that. I literally, you all heard me say it 2 minutes before I said it. You all made me be very clear when I said, do not say it out loud. But hey, it's the new kid. But thank you, Jamie, for being a good little boy, the good little newbie, and following the rules. We can see that Dylan's clearly the bad boy. So thanks very much. And for the final touching on of this game, and thanks so much for everyone who, because you were sixth, Brown Eyed. That's why you weren't. It's only 5 people get it. Have to upset someone. That's definitely needs to be. Yeah, absolutely. Connor, you're the one doing it, so just do it. So before we move on and touch on another point, I think we'll have a little conversation on Jesse Lingard. But before we do that, we'll get your man of the match and I guess villain of the match. We'll go for that. Who was our best player? Who was our worst player? Stuart, go to you.
Oh dear. Man of the match, Daniel James. He was the most consistent threat that we had today. Villain of the match.
Oh, that's quite a pause you're stuck on. I love that image.
Yeah, I'm going to go with De Gea because I think he should have stopped St. Maximan's goal. By the way, I thought Luke Shaw was close, but Daniel James for me.
Yep, that's fair. I would completely agree with you on that one, to be fair. I think even if Luke Shaw had a better game, I think for where Daniel James has come from to have that great game, I think he deserves a bit more. Yes, I am. James, coming to you now. Man of the match, villain of the match.
It's difficult picking a man of the match. I'll go with. I want to go Matic because he did all right in the second half, but first half he was nowhere to be seen. So I'll go with Dan James instead. I think a goal when there's a lot of pressure on him to perform well every time he plays, isn't it? Because his spot isn't secure. So he handled the pressure well. Got us probably a crucial goal, and then. Villain of the match, I'll go either De Gea or Martial because I don't think either of them should have started. I think not too fussed about Lindelof because he's not it's not the end of the world. But I think Henderson has more than earned his spot in that team now, and I think it's not great that he's not getting a shout. So I think I'll go with De Gea because he nearly cost us 2 goals, and then I think just because I'd rather have seen Henderson on the pitch.
Yeah, I think it's coming to that as well, James. He's obviously going to start on the week during the week. If he has a good game, that's when the problem might come in properly for Ollie. Jamie, over to you now. Who is your man of the match? Who is your villain of the match?
Dan James, I'd say. But I mean, no one was. I don't think anyone gave more than a 7 out of 10 tonight. But I mean, I wouldn't say anyone was terrible. I mean, you could argue De Gea could have done better. He looked a bit shaky at the start. Fred and Matic, Matic. Again, as was said, second half I thought he looked good. First half he was a little bit absent, but I mean I don't think anyone was terrible. Martial probably would be my villain of the match because I don't think he looked. I don't know what's up with. I think there's a confidence thing as well. But look at Cavani, right? He's 33 and he runs about like nothing else. Even if Martial did that, I mean we could forgive him. Even if he wasn't scoring, but he was running about and trying to make things happen. He just looks really low in confidence. Which is a shame because I do rate Martial as a player, but he's just never had that consistency in a United shirt apart from last season.
Yeah, 100%. So, you're going twice there. Gary, over to you now, my man. Oh, sorry, lovely comment coming in. Joe is my man in the match today. Great show. I think we can all agree with that. Mark Daniel Damians, you're going into the draw twice. You know how to play on the heartstrings. Gary, I enjoyed your little head shake there. So I might mute you. But who is your man of the match? Who's your villain of the match?
Well, I know everyone said Dan James, but I think Luke Shaw. I mean, he's been consistently really good at left back, and I think since Teller's arrival, he's just upped his game. He knows now he's had to fight for that position, and he's going to get an England call up. I think he's worthy of it. So for me, definitely Luke Shaw. Dan James is close, but I know he scored a goal and he's played all right in the last couple of games, but for a couple of instances, his decision making is still not quite there. He's only a young lad, but for me, Luke Shaw, I think the villain for me is just still got to be Marshall. I mean, just disinterested. Couple of attempts, very rare attempts, to be honest. I think when Greenwood came on, he played in Marshall's position and he was straight up there in the box. I think even the commentary on BT Sport mentioned it. They said, "Look, that's where number 9 should be. He's straight in the box, where Dan James crossed the ball in, and he was there." On a number of occasions, Marshall wasn't there. He just wasn't there at all. He was non-existent. So for me, Luke Shaw, man of the match, and villain of the game will be Marshall.
Yeah, that's fair. Tyrone with a bit outsider. Mark Rashford is a clear man of the match. I think he had a better game. I think scoring helps it out a bit, but I can't see him as a man of the match over Luke Shaw and over I give it to Dan James just from where he came from. The fact that he has been playing, has been out of the team for so long, and we'll ask that one on Skeptic Ill. I don't know what sort of name is that. We'll get to that one in a second. But Dylan, for yourself, who is your man of the match and who is your villain of the match?
I'd go again. I'd go with Dan James. I thought again he was, he scored his goal. I think he was out. He always looked like he was going to be the one that was going to create something for us. Again, I hear what everyone's saying about his final ball and everything, but that'll come. That'll come in time. For me, villain of the match, Martial, easy. There's just absolutely nothing from him. No energy. Like I say, if it's a confidence thing in front of goal, I can understand that. But the bare minimum you give is absolutely everything in terms of running, your energy. Like it's been pointed out, Cavani, nearly 10 years older than him, does 3 times as much running as him. The tempo in the team when Cavani plays and when Martial plays, the difference in that is astounding.
Yeah, I agree. And thanks, Skeptics. Yeah, just call me Gino. Gino has a comment in here. How was Maguire no one's villain? Because I don't think he had the worst game really at all by any standard. I if I was going to give it anyone in the back line, I would give it to Lindelof over him. So I think it's unfair to call him out. Did anyone have an argument to make that he could have been the worst player on the pitch? No, because I just don't really see it that way. But we just covered the game, the Newcastle game. Of course, it was great to see Shotieri come on. How I learned to say that name is who's the guy that scored a handball victory against Ireland for France. Who was it? Okay, it was Shotieri. And he is a bastard. But hopefully the one we have is much better. It was great to see him come on. I also, Brown Knight mentioned in the comments there that it was great to see Juan Mata. The camera just pulled in right as he was looking away, but he was saying lovely things to him. And he said that he was the first person to give him the ball was Juan Mata, who I'm going to miss. I do think Juan Mata should leave at the end in the summer for his own career. I think he's on 2 wages. I think he's not going to really play any football rather than see out games and the odd game here and there. I think he's too good and too much to offer for the teams. And I think we love him too much to just see him waste away. So for the last few years of his career, I hope he goes to Spain. I hope he goes to the MLS. I just hope he sees out has I think he's probably, because other teams tend to hate our players, which is fair because we tend to hate everyone else's players too. But I think he is the most generally liked player across the board. And I hope he has a great time. But I meant to actually talk about Shotieri. Great to see him come on. He didn't really do much on the ball, didn't have enough time, but it bodes a lot well for the future going forward. So I think that's all we can really say on that. But hopefully he does start and gets more game time against Sociedad, him and Diallo. But we mentioned there, and I just put up on Twitter, that we're going to end this for the next 15 minutes or so discussing Jesse Lingard. I think it's only fair. He is doing fantastically at West Ham. And of course, because he's on loan, we can really appreciate that he's doing really well at West Ham, and no, it can never affect us because he can't play against us. whether it be in, I don't know, I think we knocked him out in the FA Cup, but he can't play against us in the league either because he's on loan. It's not allowed. So we can be like, yeah, you score in every game. You do amazing, because it's just great if he comes back and we decide to keep him. But we're going to go around now. Do you think his career is done at United? It seemed done for a while, but the form he's hitting now, maybe it's an agreement that it will be, if he does play well, he will be sold. But if there was an option to keep him once we get to the summer, would you hold on to him, Stuart? And everyone in the comments.
Yeah, Gary's question was pretty apt for the form that Lingard is in as we speak right now. It was quite clear he needed to get away from the club. I think it was probably quite clear he needed to get away from the region. It was well documented about his family issues. And it doesn't matter if you're a footballer or not, you're a human being, and you're not susceptible as a footballer to issues in your life. And I think that, he's still, I know he's 28, 29 or whatever, but, your heart rolls your head, really, and his heart was rolling his head. He needed to be off the pitch and around his family rather than on the pitch. So I was delighted to see, I am delighted to see his performances. He needed that new lease of life. I think London probably suits him, probably suits his character, probably suits his family. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not a West Ham United player come the start of next season. On current form, though, if he was still at Manchester United and he was playing the way that he's playing, he would probably, he'd probably start more games than he's not, because he's absolutely transformed West Ham in an attacking sense, because he's very, very quick, and he links up very well with Jared Bowen, Declan Rice, and they are a dangerous side, West Ham now, with him included. So I think he'll go to West Ham, or he won't be with us in the summer. I think he'll get a move away, and it's probably the right time for him. I think his England career is over. He just wants to, he wants to play football, and he won't play football at Manchester United. The way that our squad is being shaped, if you believe who we're linked with, and the way that Ollie wants to shape the squad, then he wouldn't be playing anyway. So I would say, but I would say one thing as well. I think Dylan mentioned that Dan James, because we have touched on Dan James, was brought in to be a squad player. I slightly disagree, mate, because you don't go to Manchester United to be a squad player. You go to Manchester United to be a first team player. And if you've got, if you in your heart you're going as a squad player, we don't want you. That our club is not a place for squad players, and I think that's what Lingard has finally realised and understood. I can't be a squad player at Manchester United, and I will touch on one matter as well, because I love the guy. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't see him move in the summer into Miami with Phil Neville. But I would like to see him come back as a coach, as a technical coach. Because from a technical point of view, I think he's by far our finest footballer from a technical point of view. And I think he would be brilliant as a technical coach, or to coach on the technical side.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that would be part of some sort of deal going forward, because he is, I always get a little bit sad when I think about his time at United, because I think he came in the wrong time. If he was here 10 years ago, if he was brought in when we originally tried to sign him from Valencia, like, he would have had a couple of Premier League titles, he would have played in the Champions League final with us, he would have got the amount of medals he deserved for the style of player he is, and for the type of man he is. And it's my only regret that he came a bit later. He had a great career with us for about 3 or 4 years, and then he kind of became more of a squad player. But for everything he is probably the most underrated player we've had in around in the 21st century, definitely. Underappreciated.
When you come under Moyes, though, I think it was Moyes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, straight away. But James, coming to you now on discussing Jesse Lingard. But if you want to go rogue, as Stuart tend to do, please don't. We only allowed one rogue person per chat. Do you see Jesse Lingard having a future at United? Because look, like we're saying, he's playing really, really well. Unless there's a deal done, which there doesn't seem to be. There's been no option to buy that's been announced. Is there any him coming back to United, or is it just go have the best career you could possibly have, and thanks for the FA Cup final?
I think, what we're seeing with Lingard at the minute, the reason he's playing so well is he thrives off constant game time and having that freedom of the front line. When he was playing his best at United, there was no fixed position other than maybe Lukaku in front of him. I think all three players behind Lukaku were rotating between positions, and that suited Lingard, and that's what he's getting now. You never see him in one specific area of the pitch for West Ham at any one time. So, he's doing really well, and I think he's not going to get the game time or that sort of freedom at United. So I think he could be a good squad option, but that goes against him needing constant game time. So I think if he does well at West Ham and he leaves United on a positive, then I think that's probably the best for all parties. I think the fans will have fond memories of him. He was always a good person to have in the dressing room and good to banter people with on social media with rival fans. But, it's all about what he has to do for his career. I think if he wants to stay at United, he will, if he's happy with not getting game time. But I think he will want to move, and I think United will want to move him on. If they can get a bit of money for him, then that's an even bigger bonus. So, yeah, I don't think his career lies at United if he wants to carry on pumping out these performances. He's got to go, whether it's to West Ham or a similar sort of team, then I think that's what he's got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark has an interesting comment within here. I'm actually concerned about the impact Lingard can have on other players on the squad. For example, Rashford. I think that's an unfair comment to make. I know he was for a long time. He was very prominent on social media when we weren't doing well, but he's kind of stopped that. He's basically not on it at all. Probably because I'm sure a lot of people were giving him shit on it too. But I don't think it's a wise thing to be on social media for a footballer. Anyway, because if you can just, the amount of stuff that could be thrown at you is unfair. Look what's happened to James McLean now. It's horrendous, and but that's a side point anyway. But Jamie, we'll come to you now on Lingard. As we're getting around to the point, there's no real future at the club. Do you think there is, and is it wise for us to sell him to a Premier League club if that's the way it's going? Because I think if a player is making an impact like he is now, no matter how much he's done for us and how much we might like him, we should not be strengthening a Champions League, possibly a Champions League qualified team, with West Ham. But we'll come to you now, Jamie. Go on, give us your thoughts there. And there's a lot of shit happening in the comments, but people stop having a go at each other. We know we're having Jacob, you seem to be being quite mean in there, I think. I'm trying to really figure out what's happening. So everyone be nice. Everyone apologize to each other that's being mean to each other now, and be nice, okay? Sorry, Jamie, coming to you now. I'm just being the mother hen.
I mean, the romantic in me would love Jesse to come back in the summer, having had a great run of games and find a place for him in the squad, because I like Jesse. I mean, I've always felt sorry for him. For example, he scored the winner in the FA Cup final, and then Van Gaal got sacked, and I don't think he got the headlines he deserved. A young, United academy player scoring the winning goal, and it was a great goal. It's one of my favourite memories in watching a United game. It was so I kind of feel sorry for Jesse, and he's had a lot of personal issues off the pitch. He gets a lot of shit because he's quite a vocal person on social media and stuff. I think a lot of it's banter and stuff as well. I mean, I get why people don't like it, but I've always sort of felt a bit sorry for Jesse in that regard. But he's a good player. When he's on form, he reminds me of a Jason Park or a Darren Fletcher or something. Player that's just gonna always play really well for in a squad role. I mean, I know somebody said earlier that players don't come to Man United to be squad players, but we still need a big squad. You still need players like Jesse that can come in every 3 or 4 games and put on a great shift. And I think Jesse's always been quite a big game player when he's been on form. He scores. He's played well in the big games. He's pressed the big teams. But I don't realistically. I probably don't think there's a place for him in the squad. The way that if we're going to sign the players we're linked to, I don't really see where Jesse fits into that, sadly. But I mean, as I said, the romantic in me would love to see Jesse come back and find a place in the squad.
Yeah, and for a good while there, I was like, "Who's Jason Park?" And then it
Jason.
No, you said Ji-Sung Park, but just with your accent, it sounded like Jason Park.
To be fair, I think I did say Jason there, so I was like, shit. But,
well, thanks for taking the blame for it. Stuart, I
just want to jump in. It's about the squad. That's not what I meant. Look, every football club has to have a squad of players, but when you sign for Manchester United, your single aim is not to be a squad player.
Yeah.
It's to be a first team player. And the problem is we haven't got that at the minute. Now, whether Ollie's got his favourites or whether he just decides to choose Martial, I'm just spitballing here with players, you know, Martial, Lindelof, etc., etc. I don't know because we're not privy to that information. But Dan James, and he looks like he has battled his way back, to be honest, because he had a really tough 9 months, or he's had a tough 9 months. But every time any player that ever signs for Manchester United, the ambition is first team. And if you've got that mentality of everybody wanted to be a first team player, your squad is automatically stronger. And we just don't have that at the minute. You can't have players that are willing to just take a salary, you know, not in today's game. So that was kind of what I meant about the squad overall.
That's fair. That's more than fair. Gary, coming to you now. Jesse, yeah, I think we're all kind of in the boat that he won't have a future United, and I kind of can see why now as well. What do you think of his time that we've had him for anyway? Would you regard him as a successful? It's a youth player coming up, so it's not a successful signing. But would you regard him as a success, or do you feel like it's a talent wasted?
I wouldn't say it was a talent wasted. He's come through the youth ranks. I think he's been at the club probably since the age of 5 or 6. So it just proves the youth system's worked again. We produce a great talent. I think we had the best out of him, obviously, in his latter years. What he's doing at West Ham is great, but he's getting more game time and he's probably playing the slightly different systems of what we play. So he's obviously wanted him there, so he got him. It'll be interesting what happens in the summer. I don't think he'll come back. What I was saying earlier on was based on his current form, could we do with him in the team now? Would we've got so many players out injured? But yeah, I think he'll be gone in the summer. And I think West Ham will probably go for him and probably 25, 30 million. I know I've already said this to you before, Joe, but Declan Rice, you know.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We don't need to discuss any further about
the Declan.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can he be English? His name is Declan. Okay, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Okay, but luckily, I'm not going to have to say his name that often because he's not going to be.
Can I just interject just for a quick minute? And okay. Gary will like this. What was it, Republic of Ireland, Gary, where they got what was it, your great grandma on the 18th century?
Yeah,
they were tracing English players back, weren't they? Andy Townsend, that type of thing. So
yeah. Okay, well, that's not much of a comment. That was just a personal attack, but it's greatly appreciated. Yeah, and we still did G in the 1990 World Cup with those so-called not Irish players. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll remind you. There's 3 Celts here. And I don't know where any of you are from. James is from Derby. That doesn't count as England. All right. And you told me last week you didn't even care if England did anything ever. So, yeah, we're doing fine without you. Thanks very much. Can
I ask when I said that? That's disgraceful.
You said that all the time, constantly. Okay. He is Irish, Joe, and always will be. You're dead right, Dave. He is Irish and always will be. Even though he's a rat English bollocks now as well. But anyway, coming over to you now, Dylan, the final Celt of the evening. Jesse Lingard's history with United. Would you regard him as being a success? I'm going to kill you, James. Born in London, Declan Rice is not Irish. Yes, well, he played for Ireland 3 times. So that was funny enough for being English, wasn't it? Sorry, Dylan, coming to you. Would you regard him as a time at United as a success? It looks like we're all kind of in agreement that he will be moved on. Do you want him to be moving on to West Ham or further afield?
I don't see a problem with him going to West Ham. In all honesty, I think they'll fall off come the end of the season. His time at United, I think it's been a success. He's won a couple of trophies with us. He's played well at times. If he does come back with us, he becomes a good squad player for the FA Cups, the Europa Leagues. Obviously, if we're still in that, the Carling Cups and the Carabao Cup, he's good for those type of games. First team, don't see it. Best for him, obviously, would be to get a move, and the way he's playing, his value is only going to go up, and that again will only be a beneficial thing for us.
Yeah, I don't. In my view on this is I don't particularly. I see him going. I think he's the type of player that needs to be starting week in, week out at a club, because he's a flair player. He's he's charismatic, all like that. But I like it needs to be starting week in, week out for us, which he won't be. So I think he should go. I think the last thing we do is sell him to a Premier League club, because as we can see, when he's at his best, he can be a problem for anyone. We don't want to improve a rival, even it might be West Ham. We don't want him to come bite us in the arse. We need to sell him to someone, in Italy or in Spain or something like that, ideally. But of course, money talks. If we're getting off for 30 million in England, which of course we probably will be, and 20 million abroad, it's only going to go one way. But I prefer to not have him problem coming back to Old Trafford, ideally. Okay. So before we finish up, we'll just make one last point. We've got Sociedad coming up during the week. Then we've Chelsea on the weekend. We'll go across the table. What do you want from the next two games? What do you want to see? Stuart, coming to you first.
I'd like to see. I like to see the kids have a bit of a run out against Sociedad. I can't see Sociedad coming and scoring 4 goals and taking it to extra time. So I like to see the kids get a bit of a run out. Chelsea, I want to see Ollie go there with a bit. It's Chelsea, isn't it? It's a Stamford Bridge, isn't it? Yeah, I want to see him go there with a bit of balls. I want to see him pick a team that's going to go at Chelsea, because I think you can get at Chelsea. They're quite decent at passing it, passing around from side to side. They're not really, don't really penetrate you that much. I think we can get on them down the kind of the wide areas. I'm hoping Cavani's fit, but it's not looking likely, is it? I don't think. Same with Van der Beek, I think, and McTominay, because he's got an ankle injury, hasn't he? So I think he's going to be short on options. But moving forward, he's really got to start picking a settled 11, because that's what the running's going to require, a settled 11, rather than keep chopping and change it. I did hear a stat today. Isn't Ollie the second highest manager or something in terms of team changes throughout the season? So I'm not really sure what that says. So just a bit of stability for me. Yeah, James, coming to you now. Two wins, of course. Two wins, of course. James, coming to you now. What are you hoping for the next two games?
Next two games, just a bit of intensity from the first whistle rather than from 70 minutes in. I think the next game, I'm hoping we put out a completely changed 11. No one's starting on Thursday that he wants starting on Sunday or whenever the game is, and then even if we lose 2-0, we're still through, aren't we? So I think against Chelsea as well, I want to see Henderson and Bailly thrown in. And then depending on injuries, maybe give Van der Beek a chance or whoever, but that's definitely not going to happen. But yeah, just if we play like we did against Newcastle from 60 minutes onwards for the whole game, then I'll be more than happy. And if we don't pick up the result, then that's fair enough. We'll have been beaten by a better team in Chelsea. But I just want to see 90 minutes of a good performance, not 10 minutes here and there. Yeah, that's fair. Jamie, for yourself, what are you hoping for?
I think, like they said, I'd like to see us play like a good 90 minutes, not just playing moments. But I mean, we'd improved so much on last season, so I don't want to complain too much. I feel like I complained a lot tonight, but we're making progress. The progress has been great. It's the best United team to watch in years, so we can't. I don't think I should complain too much. But yeah, I'd like to see the kids on Thursday. I'd like to see some of the younger players. I'd like to see I'd like to get a look at Diallo, because he looks great in the under-23s, and just the rest of the players I'd like to see. Hopefully Van de Beek's back and we can get him some minutes. I'd like to see him get a good game in a United shirt. But for Chelsea, I'd like to see us go there and actually go there to win, because we've not had a good record against the top six this season like we did last season. We paid them too much respect, I think. Liverpool, for example, Anfield away is hard, but some of these other teams have went there and Leicester beat them, and I feel like we paid them too much respect that day. So I'd like to see us try and beat Chelsea and go there to win, and not sit back. Yeah, absolutely. Gary, for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be seeing Bruno on Thursday night. He needs to be rested fully. He doesn't really need to be on the bench either. I mean, we're 4 goals to the good in that game, so I'd like to see a lot of the kids be playing. And it'll be a lot tighter game, obviously, if we do play the kids 1-0 or 2-0, hopefully. The Chelsea game, we just really need to go full pelt, really go for it. I'm just worried about the Cavani situation. How long is he out injured for? I thought it was only be 1 or 2 games. I mean, I don't know what the situation is with Cavani. I think we should try. People saying drop Marshall. Yeah, maybe we should, but play him on the left, try Rashford in the middle, and Greenwood on the right. I don't know. but we really need to win that game. We've got a real tough run of games coming up. I mean, then we've got City the following game after that. No, Palace then City. So we've got three away games in a row.
Yeah.
Coming up. So it's going to be an interesting time.
It's going to be interesting. Dylan, for yourself, what are you hoping for the next 2 games? Sorry.
So obviously on Thursday it's exactly the same. A lot of changes. Just get it out of the way. Get the young lads, get them a bit of confidence. Just give them that experience as well of what a game for United is going to be like. With the Chelsea game, it's difficult because I don't see us catching City. I don't see anybody catching City. They're not going to lose the 4 games that we need them to lose. So I think we're in the top 4 battle. It's just about not getting beat by Chelsea. The other games, obviously, it got mentioned with Liverpool away. We set up perfectly for it. We should have beaten them. The Arsenal game, the top 6 games, we've had enough chances to beat them, every single team. And it's just that sort of inconsistency that's stopping us beating the top 6 this season as well. The Spurs game aside, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, guys, thanks so much. That has been our show for Off United Wall of Reds and reaction to the Newcastle game. Please give all the love, especially to Jamie and to Dylan, who made their debuts for Off United tonight. So make sure to give them love right now, and also by following them on their Twitters and whatnot. Please show all the love to Stuart and to Gary for their amazing insights and for coming back and always being wonderful regulars. And then James, just hug him. He needs help. So that's been a great show. Thanks so much as well. Please make sure to follow Off United on Twitter. Please make sure to find Off United on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like. What day is it today? We're playing on Thursday. So Women's Weekly will be back tomorrow. We'll be back for Wall of Reds on Wednesday. And then Match Day, Kartik will be controlling that as far as I know if he's back. If the internet is sorted out, he'll be back Thursday for that. And then we'll be back again for Wall of Reds next Sunday. So make sure to find us again back here on Wednesday night and Sunday, but Women's Weekly on tomorrow. So until then, thanks so much. It's 3 points back of the net. You're up in the week. So until then, thanks so much. Goodbye.